Okay.
Good. Right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Conservation and Heritage Advisory Committee. My name is Paul McLaughlin. I'm chairman, and it's good to see you. Do we have any apologies?
We do, as the board said, James Boone, the Upper Kennings. And what?
You? Any declarations of interest?
Yes, the
Yeah. You want the entrance? Yes. So if it's okay with you, we'll do that till last, so you can be on. Yeah.
can I just say, I parked at quarter to, well, 3 hours on the blue patch where I've had to park today. So if I'm getting around to like 2 or 3 quarters, then
Okay, no problem. That's fine. I'll be as brief as we can. So minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of February. So you've all had a chance to read the minutes, and unfortunately I wasn't present. That's when I would propose for a second. Chris?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
Chair. It was just one minor correction. I don't know what it is. It's just that John has declared an interest in the available of the grades.
right.
And the plans. Okay, slight extension.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, applications not being considered today. You'll all see the list. Anybody got any comments on that? The only thing I would say is that you would have seen that Hall Street Hall was on that list. Max Fraser did actually raise a query saying why aren't we looking at it? Well, frankly, it's the original scheme. It's very minor, and so we gave it our blessing previously. Yes,
What did you say?
yeah, that's fine. So I'm not saying anything like I think we need to say. Yeah. Applications determined since the last meeting. Anybody any comments on that? You'll have noticed that number 11 Bernard Street, we considered meeting before last, has had an approval. That's principally because they've amended the medium in accordance with our plans and take on board everything that we said. And similarly, number 13 Vernon Street, the Vernon Medical Practice, various amendments were made to that as well, in accordance with our request. Okay, so moving on to the main item, applications to be considered. So the first one we've got this afternoon is the St Auckland Vicarage. You recall we looked at previously. It's a Grade 2 listed building. The application was to carry out alterations to windows, thermal upgrade buildings, bring them into habitable use, and some bathroom alterations. You had additional details on this charming little set of buildings, and I'll just hand over to Chloe just to clarify several points.
I think this is the first time that I've seen this. It was on an early list, but because of the amount of information, the applicants withdrew it off and submitted the warrant. So you're able to look at it and have at the level of information that's needed. So yes, as you say, Grade 2 listed. It's got a separate list from church, St Austin's, and built by the same architect in approximately 1995. Quite right buildings, you've seen on line. So there was previously, as Paul has mentioned at the chair, that there was a proposal to replace all the windows and install insulated plasterboard. Having looked around the building, they have refined their proposals. They're looking at reinstating the detail in the door to renovation, and apart from repairs, that's really the main proposals externally. Inside, the main change to the first one, so these are changes to walls and things like that, is to knock or remove walls that partition the current WC and bathroom arrangement. So that's to create one to each unit. So you've seen the minimum amount of demolition proposed to achieve that. In terms of the details, there are some rooms that have ceiling cords and skirting walls decorative details.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry. There are some rooms which have got decorative cornices, as you can see on the slide, and details. And so they revisited what they were proposing, and they're now proposing 70mm wall insulation rooms where there are no details, and a replacement of plaster to 20mm insulated plaster where there are details. So it's a straight swap in terms of depth. So what's being proposed, as you will have seen, is the Eco Plaster or Eco. So there are some positive proposals, including replacement of UPVC gutters to cast iron, some roof repairs, as I mentioned. So yeah, that's the general proposal. You'll have seen this information online. 3 updated plans which show the extent of the plasterwork and insulation. Some sections through showing the impact of those, top right of the slide. And the windows, they're now proposing instead of replacement of the glazing to vacuum glazing.
Thank you, Chloe. So, yeah, starting from the top down, then, yeah, the windows, they are retaining the existing windows, basically replacing the glazing with slimline double glaze units, which they say windows, avoids the necessity for secondary glazing, which they argue will cause condensation traps, etc. To just to retain the single glaze. And I personally feel that's quite acceptable. And then the insulation to the walls, where they've got details, plaster details, cornice, etc. They're keeping the insulation down to 20mm thickness. What we need to ascertain, and I know you've got this in hand, is that detail doesn't actually interfere the depth of plaster that they're going to be removing will be replaced by equal depth, so we're not interfering with the mouldings at all. Where there are no mouldings on the external walls, they're going to increase the insulation to 70mm using the EcoCork system of lime plaster. Here they're suggesting that they actually leave the existing skirtings in place and put the insulation over the top, which I think is rather a poor idea, because basically if you've got any elements of rot, then it will be perpetuated in a enclosed space, and before too long you will have a building full of dry rot. So my suggestion is that we actually tell them if they can remove carefully the existing skirtings and details and refix them, And if they do need to do some replacement work on top of something like damage, etc., then they repeat the mouldings that are there now. So I think that in essence, is it, can I open that up to discussion?
It's a lot better as well from their perspective. It's often been, apart from being a better downthrough detailing, visibly look better in the room. I think this not to disagree with it.
Yes, I do.
I feel that. Sorry. No, I agree with that. I thought there was. I think some sorts of the details changing. It's information. Must be new.
There is. We've asked for clarification for that.
I think it's been described some sort of.
Yeah.
I think I've come windows as well. Essentially change from centre places vacuum. Not sure you can get back to use it's just not nice. So one of the details changed later. It's wrong.
We could query it with them. And I think the response was positive. Yeah. Yeah.
The acceptance, the mainly those in situ claims.
How are they placed in? Are they putty placed in? We
See,
need the detail.
yeah,
Yeah, we need a detail just to clarify. I think we should leave that to the officers. The concept is sound.
Yeah, guys.
Yes,
So, I think as amended, the details sets have been done. I just wondered if they thought about ventilation. I may have missed that.
ventilation into
Massive ventilation, you know,
the
bathrooms and
they've done extract to
the bathroom,
bathrooms. So
and then the other bedrooms and stuff.
well, there are opening lights in them.
Yeah, so they're just relying on that. I only say it because we did a scheme on some arms house, which I'm similar, and I think there was an understanding that the tenants might not, you know, vulnerable people might not be able to open those windows as freely. So
Yeah, no,
it's a
it's
consideration.
always a concern. But I think, yeah, in the principal spaces, the kitchen, the bathrooms, there is extraction in there. So, and they've actually given some details as to how they, I think, go through it. Yeah,
there's
online. So,
translation.
yeah. Okay, so everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Clarification subject to your clarification on detail. So moving onwards, the next application is for number 19 Church Street. This is actually not only to the building, it's the conservation area, prominent building. The intention is to the coach house, which is garden area, to habitable floor space, create a recreation room and a children's play room. It involves the installation of new windows on the rear section. Which is been very sensitively considered. There are also some photovoltaic panels to be installed on the south elevation, which currently is not visible from anywhere else in the public realm. So,
So just some slides showing the building on Church Street. Church Street, it extends across Longray back to the plot. As you can see the area on the photographs. So the changes to the exterior, there's an additional window being one animation I've shown on the drawings, and it's the conversion of the brick part of the building, the garden. So you've got existing and what's proposed. So as I said, the window and then the conversion to recreational rooms already been said. So that's the extent of the external changes. Obviously, so external, the existing and proposed elevations. There's the additional window, and obviously converting, etc. Glazing the hatched door beams back. Some sections and some elevations of the other elevation that can't really be seen as it's quite heavily treed. So I'll just included that. It's something with the visuals. And that's it in sort of.
Yeah, okay. So quite a comprehensive and I think well considered scheme. Open it up to any comments.
I'm interested that the solar panels aren't visible from anywhere. I think I was interested in the window. The application just is to match size, shape, appearance, but it's detail. That's it seems to be
They are regrettably.
yeah. It's not like
Yeah, it's not just a building, so and it's a way to use. I think I mean it encourages them to change. Same with that. I'm willing to. No, the basis is there already, but I think the way they handle it with the glazing in first door, so all the way you'd expect it to be seen, and the interior space along the gallery, I think it's quite imaginative. Anybody else?
Wasn't it? Yeah, yeah, bringing the building into use.
Yeah.
In a sensitive way.
So positive. You. No objection. At this point, Matthew, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Jill, thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm the specialist. See you till 8th of January. Okay, the next application is Lockup Yard, parking market for redevelopment. And you may recall that we had this in front of us a while back, and I asked it to come back. We asked the applicants to consider some modifications by increasing the width, depth of piers, which we call are actually step-on slip bricks, and also to introduce more prominent columnists to the building. Regrettably, they've come back and said no, not willing to consider that. So I I feel very disappointed about this because the space between Lockup Yard itself and the entrance into the market is quite an intimate space, and one of the few smaller intimate spaces, public spaces within the city that's not been eroded or destroyed. But I'm afraid this sort of interpretation of law is, in my view, spoiling the setting of the listed building. Any comments from anybody else? Do you follow the same sort of point of view? It's mundane and it's £35 million on refurbishment, and that actually spoils one of the principal considerations of the space.
It's 90, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Chris.
Well,
Yes, I do share your disappointment to a degree, in that, it's sort of one of those where you could do better. Yes, when it used to, as I remember, and there were some units. There was activity and, it's kind of part of the vibrancy of that part of the yard and it seems a shame really that it's just such a plain, it could plain break, wall.
we suggest this some advertising for what's going on in the market hall to draw people in or something.
If it's done tastefully, yeah. Originally, when the application first came to us, this was actually going to be the green there was planting. And I think that would actually soften it quite a lot and improve it. But because of the size of the air handling equipment behind had to pull forward, they say there's ownership with the extending the brick piers forward, but I thought it was all within the council's ownership anyway.
It would have sorted that highway.
Well, you would, yeah, but it's
You could see there's traditional type market signage.
yes, there's plenty of precedent within the market hall now. The frame sign.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it needs something to give relief and interest and toning down to that bright white facade.
But I'm actually green wall.
I think a green wall can go down very well. I think.
Which way is it facing?
George, you've got any view on that?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. The green wall, some tasteful advertising.
Which way is it facing? It's facing south.
It would have been very substantial. Yeah.
But I mean, there wouldn't necessarily be a green wall. It could be some planting bits, troughs or something. It's anything. Just
It'd probably be more costly, but
Hanging baskets, no.
just something. Just to
It needs to dominate that facade while the poor detail that's there now.
it'd probably be more costly, but could something be done to dress up the brick which aren't particularly attractive and sort of reframe that the original shop front that was there, even if it was blank.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't need to come out so far as a brick here, but just to overclad it timber with the corners.
Some relief that reflected its previous use or something like that. I think. So I think, in essence, I think we need to go back to as the answer to go back to saying we are bitterly disappointed because it actually spoils this area, closed space, and we really would like to address by adding some detail, planting, introduction of signage, or something that reflected the original shop front slightly more.
before long, somebody's going to put their mark on that.
It's going to be a graffiti, yeah.
It's a blank canvas for somebody to.
You can't say that's how it could improve it.
Well, it's a tastefully.
It does the quality. It does look like the original shop front. There was one shop front glazed, and the rest was sort of
Yes,
a bit borderline. And all.
Yeah. But there was articulation to it. Get shadow, get depth. The word is wasn't anything.
Artists do work who asked on this.
Thanks.
We couldn't go this. It's underlined this from Cameron. It's a good one. It's still concerned. It's that actually concludes the agenda. Shall we pause the first meeting then?